we are talking to WPLG Miami sports anchor and reporter Clay Ferraro. Clay, what's going on, bud?
I am about to say the four greatest words in the English language. I am watching football.
Well, that's good.
So could not be better, my guys. How we doing?
We're good, man. And we're watching the football game, too. And it looks like he's going to really come down to the end of the game where I expected Matthew Stafford and Josh Allen to come, to the line of scrimmage. And one of these guys are going to show why they're the star quarterback of their team and why they're the star quarterbacks of their conferences. So it's going to be fun. I believe this is going to come down to the end. And Josh Allen early in the game looked like he was the better quarterback. And now all of a sudden he's made a couple of mistakes. His team's made a couple of mistakes. And now Matthew Stafford has an opportunity to take the lead of this game and go into the second half as the lead team right now in this game. So we'll get into that a little bit later. But as everybody knows, we are talking to WPLG Miami sports anchor and reporter Clay Ferraro. So Clay, why don't we get into but before we do that, how are you and how is your family doing from this whole pandemic?
I'm doing great. I've got three little ones, all 17 months apart. I don't know what on earth my wife and I were thinking. But they're all, so at one point we had 3 under 3. And so they're right now 8, 7, and about to turn 6. And so it's, I'm saying all that as background because you talk about a crazy time in your life and your formative years to be going through all of this. So we're doing well. And, I think we're feeling like we're on the other side of this thing and trying to figure out what this new normal is going to be in this world for these little ones. But yeah, we're good right now. Getting used to the swing of school this year.
There's no such thing as normal in this world.
That's so true.
There's nothing normal about this world because I remember a couple of, I would say about 6 or 7 months ago, you couldn't even go to the city without having shots. Now, all of a sudden, people are going to ball games, and it doesn't matter who's sitting where they're sitting. It doesn't matter if you have shots or not. I remember when Lou Lamoriello over here with the Islanders sent players away like Bodie Wild. He had to play over there in Germany because he couldn't play for the Islanders because he wouldn't get shots. So now, all of a sudden, that changed the states and the politics have changed everything. And now all of a sudden, there is no more COVID. Everybody can go out. They don't have to wear masks anymore. Figure that one out. I don't understand it.
You go different places and you feel like sometimes there are different rules because, I'll say this, like wherever you go, you kind of have a mask in the back pocket just in case, so I go to Dolphins camp and you have to like, all right, do we have to wear it now? Or like, and I mean, I'll say this, like we went into open locker room for the first time last week. And I'm sitting there thinking, I was like, man, last time I was in an open locker room was Super Bowl for Kansas City Chiefs and San Francisco 49ers. It's been that long ago. And so it's like, yeah, you're right. I mean, there is no such thing as normal in this world. And yet it almost seems like what normal is for that particular day seems to change by the day and by the place. So, but look, I think I'm thankful that we're, at least in a place where we're getting back to where we feel somewhat normal and I can walk into an NFL locker room or a Major League Baseball clubhouse now and get back to doing what we love in person.
So why don't we get into something that you love, and that's football, as you spoke so highly of. Let's get into your Dolphins, the AFC East. We were just talking about Zach Wilson. He's going to probably miss the first 3 games of the season. He might not be back until week 4, maybe 5. And this AFC East is really open. Besides the Buffalo Bills, we don't know what the Patriots are. We don't know what the Jets are. And we don't know what Tua and the so-called high-flying Miami Dolphins are going to be with Waddle and Tyreek Hill. So you are in Miami. What are the thoughts right now for the Dolphin fans and the Dolphins organization?
Cautiously optimistic. And I think for people who have been down here for a long time, I was fortunate enough to be here. I got here back in 2014. And so, but people have been down here a lot longer than that. They know, yeah, I mean, hey, the 72 Dolphins were great. And Dan Marino's second season, you go to the Super Bowl, man, that's great. There's a whole lot of these to come. And it hadn't been that way. And, what's funny is the Miami Heat have kind of garnered the most attention in this town for a long time now. And yet I think everybody would agree that all things being equal, this is still a football town. And, we go back a couple of years ago and the Miami Hurricanes were on a fun run. And so I think I say all that because if the Dolphins are as good as they've looked in training camp, and look, I'm not saying we're putting a whole lot of stock in what we saw in training camp relative to the regular season, but if they continue to show that sort of potential, man, this place is going to go crazy, and they're going to embrace them. So how are people feeling, man? People are excited. And yet I think there's also cautious optimism, cautious excitement, because we had to deal with years of, is this the year that we finally find out if Ryan Tannehill is a franchise quarterback? There were like 5 of those. This is the first time since the early 2000s last year that the Dolphins back-to-back winning seasons. And with as crazy as things felt from the outside looking in, talent-wise, the trajectory seemed to be good. And then everything happened in the offseason, and now you kind of hit the reset button, and yet that reset button has entailed a massive upgrade in talent at certain spots that really needed it. It's a lot of words to say cautious optimism, but I also think that I don't remember seeing a team this talented out there in training camp. And so I think there's a reason for that cautious optimism.
So before I get to my question, one of our fans, Carl, wanted to mention he watched you back when you were in Southwest Florida on a Wink TV.
Yeah, over Fort Myers.
Wink TV,
very
yes.
Cool, very cool.
Yes, so he wanted to shout that out. So my question is about their new coach, Mike McDaniel. They bring in him, wanted an offensive coach for the first time in a while, probably since they had Joe Philbin. They brought in a lot of different pieces, trying to create a 49ers-like offense. What have been your impressions so far of what you've seen, and do you think his scheme is very similar to what you've seen in San Francisco with Kyle Shanahan?
So I've been blown away by Mike McDaniel, the person. And look, this isn't like, this guarantees nothing. And I feel like I have to say this every time, because invariably you'll have somebody that says, oh, yeah, let's just wait to see when he loses his first game, or all of his jokes going to be funny. Like, no, we get it. Like, it's okay, but it's okay to enjoy what we've had in front of us. And so what I've noticed with him is he has this disarming way, and it's not just with us in the media, it's with players. And, you talk to players and you can get the straight scoop, and you can, if they speak in cliches and like it's all stuff you've heard before, then you can kind of chalk it up and say, all right, well, we'll believe it when we see it. What I've been surprised by is everybody has a story with him, and a way that he has connected to them individually and made them feel special. And like, I think there's something to be said for that when you have a head coach who is not going to stand up in front of a room and scare anybody. I mean, and he'll joke about it. He's 5'5", 160 pounds, soaking wet. But he's smart in a way that he doesn't have to be the smartest guy in the room. And I think there's a lot to be said for that. So in my interactions with him, in our interactions with him, I've been blown away by Mike McDaniel, the person. I've been really impressed by how he embraces the teaching side of all of this and understands the importance, and things that players have said is that he gets us. Well, that doesn't mean that, he's going to be buddy-buddy. And no, it means that he understands how modern and younger players' brains work. He calls it the ADD generation. And you have to get you have to get guys' attention. And here's a perfect example. He told a story at the introductory news conference. He said, look, my first job was basically like as an assistant to the assistant wide receivers coach. I'm a 5.5-foot guy, 23 years old, out of Yale with zero meaningful experience. And my job in Houston was to tell Andre Johnson how to be a better football player. You tell me how that worked out. And he said, what I quickly found out was, if you can reach them and show them this is where you're great, this is where you can be even greater, I will show you how, and it will make both of us a lot of money along the way. You can get people's attention. And it's so simple, but it's so honest. And it's that kind of stuff where he just finds a way to reach people, and that's all important. So that's a lot of words to say. Our interactions with him, great. My interactions with players who have spoken about him, really good. But yes, we all understand that all goes away if they lose 38-10 on Sunday.
We are talking to WPLG Miami sports anchor and reporter Clay Ferraro. Clay, I mean, Tyreek Hill has really spoken highly of himself all offseason. And we all know who he is. I mean, we follow him on YouTube. We follow him on his podcast. He's got a great personality, really does. And what he has said about Jalen Waddle is that he believes that this is the best duo as far as he's concerned in the NFL when it comes to speed and ability. So what are your thoughts, what you have seen at training camp of both players?
Yeah, I mean, pure speed, and I think a lot of it, look, Jalen Waddle is fast. But what I found really interesting was both Kayvon Wallace and Bucks defensive back said the same thing, that they have never seen Carlton Davis was the one who said it. They have never seen a player as fast as Tyreek Hill. They said that's a different kind of speed. And this wasn't after a preseason game. This was after these joint practices. And I don't know about you guys, but I've found in recent years that you can get a lot more out of these joint practices relative to the first string guys because you've got a lot more good on good out there. And yes, the one-on-ones, it's heavily slanted towards the offense, but there's a lot of team drill out there too. And you also, I think, get more honest opinion about evaluating the guys across from you after those, because it's like, this is not a meaningful game. So when I hear Carlton Davis and Kayvon Wallace say that after a full week and then a game of going up against Tyreek Hill, it catches my attention. And so I think, it wouldn't surprise me one bit if they do end up being the fastest duo in the NFL, because you have the fastest player the guy who plays the fastest in the NFL in Tyreek Hill at that position, and Jalen Waddle is really, really fast too. So now how will that look in the offense? And I think that's what everybody wants to know. And the thing that I'm sure you guys have heard over and over, well, what does it matter if Tua can't get him the ball? And how many times, if you go back over the last couple of years, where Patrick Mahomes throws a deep ball and Tyreek Hill is coming back for it. And a lot of that is because Patrick Mahomes is just ridiculously gifted when the play breaks down. And so he's rolling out and they're in scramble drill. And that's where a lot of these big plays happen. Where I think Tua can and has to connect on big plays with these guys. He can throw the ball 60 yards in the air. He can throw the ball 55, 60 yards in the air. But the timing is what's going to be imperative with him. He's not going to be able to roll out and buy the sort of time and throw off balance 60 yards in the air like Patrick Mahomes did. And that's where Mike McDaniel's going to come in. And I think that's where you want to design plays where Tyreek Hill wins at the line of scrimmage and you give Tua a very obvious read to get him the ball in stride. Same thing with Jalen Waddle. We'll see how much Mike Gesicki is involved now that he ended up staying down here. We'll see if he plays more as a wide receiver or a tight end. So those are the types of plays that are going to open up when you have guys that fast, because it's not just, he can throw the ball deep. Tyreek Hill can get deep. If it's timed right, it's great. But the underneath stuff opens up. And so I'm curious to see how McDaniel brings all of that together and if Tua is able to progress and get these guys the ball on time and on target.
So do you believe in Tua as much as Tyreek Hill does?
No, I don't. I would like to say I believe in my own family members as much as Tyreek Hill believes in Tua. But and this is one thing too I've said, and my feature today was actually on Tyreek Hill and how teammates love the guy. And the one thing they've said about him is he's a superstar, but he has a way of making everybody else feel like they're hanging out with somebody who isn't a superstar. He wants to be the everyman and connect with everybody. And that's great. And I think that's part of what's being said about Tua is like, I think everybody around here knows, and I'm sure they feel it in that building, Tua hasn't exactly been set up for success. And I'm not making any excuses for him. I compare him to Jimmy Garoppolo and what we've seen from him up to this point. Like, I think that's the comp. Do I think he can take another step? Sure. But I don't think he's been very good to this point in his career. With that said, he hasn't been set up for success as far as having weapons, for having an offense properly designed for what he does well, and also, frankly, with having people around him that believe in him. And so I think there's a big push for that, not just with the coaching staff, but obviously when you have somebody as dynamic and as commanding of a presence as Tyreek Hill, it's important to have him on your side. So I think all of that's important. I think all of it matters. And I hope that they're able to fulfill that, because life's a lot better and business is a lot better when the Dolphins are good, but that's going to be a big part of this.
I think we could say the same about the Jets. All the optimism with the Jets lies on one quarterback who's not going to play until probably week 4. So happy-go-lucky for all us Jet fans and waiting for Zach Wilson to step on the field again.